Good morning, guys. I promise you guys that I will do a video listing my top I don't want to say favorite, but they're a must-read romance novels. They're very 50 Shades of Grey. I've never read 50 Shades of Grey. I heard about it, but I've never gotten to read it. But these books, they're a dark kind of romance. They're very hot, they're very spicy. Some of them are not appropriate for the work environment. Some are not appropriate for public environment. And some I'll say you have to read them in your bedroom with the door locked. That's how spicy they get. So the first book is called Awakened by Sin. It's by Maya Knight. And this book is, I'll say it's like a sequel. No, is it a sequel to her first series called Captive Lord, which is like a mafia romance novel. And I've read maybe a book or two from that series. It was a bit much for me. I don't know if I like the male lead Gavin in Captive Lord. He's not my favorite. And me, it takes a lot for a male lead to kind of not be my favorite, no matter how many vices and sin he has. I usually don't get turned off by that, whether he's a mafia guy or whatever it is. I always give leadway, but Gavin, he just ticked me off. He just did too many things that were just not called for. And I just got the feeling like the heroine didn't love him, or she didn't want to be with him at a point where it got too tiring, her rejecting him and him forcing her, basically, like figuratively and literally forcing her to be with him. So I didn't like that series, but we're not talking about that series. We're talking about Awakened by Sin, which is a series that follows her cousin and her whole, I don't know what to call it, palaba, wahala. But I prefer this series. It's only one book so far in the series. The author said there'll be a second book, so it's supposed to be, I think, a duet or a trilogy. But Solomon, why is it you always do this when I'm trying to film? Anyway, so it's been years since she wrote that book, Awakened by Sin, and we haven't seen an update. I think she updated this year after like 5 years. She wrote it in 2020 or 2021, I think. And she did an update this year saying that it will be coming out soon. So we don't know when it's coming out. But I know her star rating, there's like 1 stars, and it's not because the book is bad. It's because the book is so good. People are fed up of waiting for her to write the sequel or the second book. So all of the 1-star reviews, they all say the same thing. Like, where is the next book? And I could feel their pain, because after I read it, I think 2022. I was like, hello, we need to know what's going on. What is going on? So I recommend you guys read Awakened by Sin. I will put it up here, the cover, so you guys can know how it looks, so you guys can check it out. I might even do I might even read the, what's it called, summary. What is it? It's not the summary, the bio, whatever it is that tells you about the book. I might add that to the videos for all of the books. I might, depending on my reading ability, because I can read better in my head than out loud. But the first book that I recommend is Awakened by Sin. Now let's get into the second video, or the second book. Guys, I'm not trying to read these summaries, so I'm going to leave it for you guys to read on your own. I'll just put them up and you guys can read them for yourselves. Alright guys, the next book is called His Revenge Baby by Theodora Taylor. I read several of her books and I like them. The reason why I chose this book was because I've been looking for books that feature Asian men and Black women, and her books, she has a few of those. I think she has, as far as I know, well, yeah, she has several books that feature, and this book, I was shook when I read this book. I was shook because of the subject matter, the plot. I think in the middle of the book, it gets a little bit lost, it get a little bit draggy, but I've read the book numerous of times. I like the male lead. I like um, the female lead. She can be a little bit annoying. I'm going to be honest. She's a little bit annoying, but the male lead kind of makes her bearable. And he's Japanese. He's a Japanese million or billionaire with, baggage, emotional baggage. And I don't want to say too much about the story. I want you guys to read it for yourself. Like I said before, I might read the summary of the book or whatever it's called. I forgot what it's called. But I recommend that you guys read Revenge. I think, yeah, Revenge Baby or something like that. I'll put the cover so you guys can know the name of the book, and if you're interested you can get it. And if I read the summary, it might interest you even more. All right, so let's get into the third book. All right, guys, the third book is Luck of the Devil by Megan March. I've read a few of her books. I like her books. She's a good author. She's a good writer. She really gets you in. And the lead her name is India, and she's a poker player, a female poker player, one of the best female poker players. And she gets into some drama with a billionaire because the guys always have to be million and billionaires. And I'm not doing really well describing the books. So that's why I feel it's better if I just read the summary so you guys can decide whether you want to read it. But I recommend that you guys do read it. Remember that all of these books I'm talking about, they're dark romance and they're very spicy, meaning the sex scenes are steamy. So if anything, even though I'm doing really bad with with explaining the books, just know going in that you will enjoy it. Even the writing is really good. I wouldn't recommend a book where the writing was bad with too many grammatical errors and plot lines that are just too all over the place. All these books that I'm recommending, the writing is good. So I recommend that you read Luck of the Devil. It's a trilogy. The first book that I mentioned, Awakened by Sin, I don't know if it's a trilogy or a duet because she hasn't written any other books following that one. The second book, His Revenge Baby, is a standalone, so you don't have to buy any other books. You have to purchase these books. Luck of the Devil is free, but the last two books in the series you have to purchase. And that's how some authors they do. They'll give you the first book for free, but if you want the rest, you have to purchase. And some of these books I've purchased the series, and some of them I haven't purchased the series. So let's get into the next book. The next book is called The Director by Renee Rose. I've read a few of her books, and this book is, even though it's a standalone, there's a lot of books that within the series that includes characters from this book. So this book is a Russian mafia book. So the director, he's a mafia lord, and he hires an attorney to plead his case, I think, something like that, or a case for one of his workers. And that's how they get together. She's the attorney, the lead, female lead is the attorney that he kinds of kidnaps so that she can help him with his case. And his, I don't want to call them Dominions, the guys that work for him, they each have a book in this series. So it starts with him, the director, and then each guy that will be introduced in this series have their own books. So I've read his book. I think his book is the only one that was free. So I have on my wish list that other guys in the future, I'll purchase their books to read as well. It's a very good series. I recommend it. I think it was one of the first series that I got into, like mafia books where the guys are mafiosos, or it's usually Russian mafia, Italian mafia. What other mafia do I read that I like? I think I do mostly Russian and Italian mafia. I know I think there's been an Albanian mafia. It's usually in the Eastern European kind of mafia groups. So yeah, you like this book, The Director by Renee Rose. So I've included it. It's dark, but it's not as dark as some of the other ones. I don't think it's as dark as some of the other ones in this series. Okay, the next one is a trilogy. I have all three books, but you get the first one for free. You have to purchase the other two. Is The Dark Billionaire by D.L. Arcada. And this one it's a trilogy, but also tells the stories of his brothers. He has two brothers and a sister. They each get a duet or a trilogy as well. I recommend. I have all of the books. I purchased them. I purchased the first one, the Dark Billionaire. The story is about Jasper, Christmas, or Spencer. I think it's Christmas. Or no, Spencer is the second brother. It's Jasper, Christmas, and then there's Spencer, Christmas, and then the third brother, I think it's Asher, Christmas, and then they have a sister. She has a series too. I have all of them. I purchased them because it was one of the first dark romance that I read, and I was like, what is this? What is this? I didn't know if I should be reading it. I was looking around like, can people see what I'm reading? Can people? It was that was my first kind of introduction into dark romance. I'm sure I had others, but this is what made me really get into dark romance. Um, Solomon, Kai, this cat is annoying, very needy. I don't, I'm tired. I'm tired. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Solomon, I'm doing something. Anyway, guys, read The Dark Christmases or The Dark Millionaire. Is a trilogy and it has a series. It's good. All right. All right, guys, the next book is called Bad Boy Blues by Safrin A. Kent. I have a few of her books and I like her writing style. She kind of saddles the line between I don't know, like her female characters are barely legal in most of her books, and the guys are like way older. And I don't mind the older man, younger girl scenario, but it's too Lolita for me. I read them, but I don't know. But this one, they're the same age group. The one that I'm recommending. It's her other books that sometimes they're just like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this May December romance thing. But this one, they were classmates. He was her bully. She had a crush on him. He's like from a rich family. It's kind of like the Korean drama Boys Over Flowers. Yeah, it's like the American version of Boys Over Flowers. So if you like Boys Over Flowers, you'll like this book. I didn't like Boys Over Flowers, but I like this book. So I'm recommending it for more of the younger adult readers in their 20s. They will appreciate this book. It's also a little bit dark. It's steamy. It's good. I recommend it. So the book is Bad Boy Blues. And she has other books in this series where they're around the same age group that you can read. And then she has the ones where it's kind of like student teacher kind of relationships where I'm like, I don't know. Some people like that stuff. Me, it's it's kind of iffy. All right, guys, let's get into the next book. All right, now this book, Masterclass by Raven Jane. This is the book that I was telling you guys about that you might not want to read while you're at your workplace on break. You might not want to read in a public park. This is the kind of book that you might want to read in the privacy of your bedroom with the door locked, and make sure that the walls are thick. You don't want thin walls while you're reading this book. I'm so serious. This book, I'm still not like sure when I'm reading this book. I'm still like, I think I'm definitely a prude, but my mind is not prudish. It's just the rest of me is a prude. But reading this book, oh my gosh, this book is not for the faint of heart. So if you're a person that has a lot of sexual hang-up, you're very suppressed, you're not liberated, you're not, this book, you might not be able to handle it. Your heart might not be able to handle it. Your mind, your body, everything. This book is a series. I think it's more than a trilogy. I have 2 books out of the 4, 5, 6. I don't know how many books she has, but the book is deep. And I feel like there's some truth to the book in how rich people groom their children, their daughters, for other wealthy men. This book reads like this is reality of the rich and famous. Like, I'm talking about like the billionaires, the millionaires that kind of their children do arranged marriages, like marriage of convenience, business marriages to align their assets so that they can stay on top and stay rich. Because the grooming in this book, like the sexual grooming, preparing this child or this girl for marriage, and it's crazy. I don't even want to get into politics or even talk about this guy, Russell Simmons, but there was a video where he was talking to his youngest daughter and he kept calling her a servant. He kept saying he's preparing her to be a servant. And this is basically what this book is basically about. The guy preparing his daughter to be a servant to her husband. And I think that's what Russell Simmons was alluding to, that he's preparing his younger daughter to be a servant to older rich men. So that's how she'll be getting her money. And this is just crazy. It's mind-blowing. Like, I am shook throughout the whole book. There's some scenes that I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I didn't read. I couldn't read. There was some scenes that I couldn't read. I was like, no, I'm not ready to be desensitized. I'm not ready for this kind of, but I know I'm going to read them in the future, but I still want to keep some of my innocence, even though I'm like in my 40s. But guys, read this book. If you're not like a prude like me, it's a good book. If I'm recommending it, it's a good book. It will open your eyes to some stuff. All right, guys, let's get into the next book. Okay, if you're like me and you like a historical romance novel, this one will be good for you. It's called The Madness of Ian Mackenzie, and it's by Jennifer. Hold on, guys, let me get the name. Guys, it's by Jennifer Ashley. I don't know why I forgot, but this book is a standalone, but again, it's a series as well, so you can read the brother's story. He has brothers, at least 3 or 4 brothers, and a nephew, and they each have their own story. It's a really good read. And this one takes place in the Highlands, which is Scotland. I love Highlanders. I love Scottish guys. So like any book that has a Scottish guy in a kilt, I will be reading. You understand? I love Highlanders. I don't read too many books on Lowlanders. I think those are the Irish guys. I don't. They do exist, but I haven't seen as much books on Irish guys as I have seen on Scottish guys, the Highlanders. I hope I'm right. I hope Lowlanders are Irish and Highlanders are Scottish, because I'll be kind of embarrassed if both are Scottish, but I do know for sure that Highlanders are Scottish. And I remember there was this series called Highlanders, where the guy was going around fighting and killing his enemies. I don't know if he was Scottish fighting Irish guys or fighting other Scottish guys, but I was obsessed with that TV show Highlander. And the only way he could kill them with his blade was to cut off their head, which I thought was crazy. That part I couldn't get into, but the Highlander series was amazing. I think the song was "Here We Are, Born to Be King, we're the princes of the universe." This is so old. You know I'm old. The fact that I remember Highlanders and I even know the theme song. I was born in 1981, so I just told you guys my age, but man, TV shows used to be good. Now it's just reality shows and just weird shows. But you guys check out this book, The Madness of Ian McKenzie by Jennifer Ashley. All her books are good. You enjoy this book. All right, guys, let's get into the next book. All right, the ninth book is called Betrayal by Althea Roming. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. And it's also a series. I don't know how many books are in the series. There's not much to say about the book. It's about a millionaire, billionaire, and a young girl who grows up in society, kind of like Masterclass. She's being groomed to be in a loveless relationship, and he rescues her, but he's also a problem because he has his emotional baggage. Because when they're millionaires and billionaires, they tend to have their emotional baggages along with it. But it's a very interesting book where she gets into financial situation and he rescues her by, of course, making her his servant or lover or whatever. It's a good book. I read the first book. I'm going to buy in the future the rest of the books because I want to know what happens. So I recommend you read Betrayal by Althea. I think it's Althea Roming. So let's get into the last book. All right, the 10th and last book is called Chains by Shandy Boys. I read some of her other books and I think she's a good writer. The reason why I included Chains instead of her other books that I do have is because I felt like maybe some of my readers might want a male lead who's African American, because most of my leads that I have in my books are either Caucasian or Asian. I'm getting more into the Asian. I'm finding more Asian male leads, which I'm happy about. I'm still on the lookout. So if you have any romance novels that are Asian lead, like Black women, Asian guys, let me know. Recommend them in the description below. If they're free, even better. But this one, the male lead is African American. So I thought I'll throw that one in for people who might be interested in that dynamic. But it's a Caucasian woman and an African American man. It's not like Black love or anything like that. I don't have any Black love books. I haven't read any of them since I was a teenager or a young adult. It's okay. I don't have a problem with it, but I'm more interested in Asian and Caucasian romance novels. I like the way they're written better and they interest me more because that's more of my preference. But I just thought I'll throw this one in for I thought I'll just throw this one in for the woman that might want a black male lead. My cat is getting on my nerves. He wants to be fed, even though he ate a lot yesterday. So I'm going to get off this video and feed him. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you like all of my recommendation. Let me know if you read any of them. Recommend books down below for me to read as well. I want free books. I use Google Book apps. I use the Google Book app to get my books. So if you recommend books, let me know. They have to be on Google Apps or I won't be able to read it. I don't know why I keep saying apps when it's app. But guys, I hope you like this series or you like this video. Make sure you don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye. Oh, I'm getting yarn this week. So I'm going to be making some more bucket hats. And hopefully they turn out better than the last ones. And I'm going to make other projects as well. So look forward to those videos. All right, bye guys.